All right, sister.
Thank you, Kiki and friends. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us today at Bezerra Spiritual Healing Virtual Center. A special day, as it is every Sunday or every day that we are together praying to better ourselves, to better our world, our planet, our brothers and sisters. So, welcome to our virtual meeting. And before I start and talk more about the announcements and what we are up to, I would like to invite our dear sister Tanya, who will do the opening prayer for us. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you. So let's in this moment, closing our eyes, open our hearts and minds, and to connect with one another. Let us in this moment embracing our hearts and souls together in this beautiful union. Let's we be just one heart and one mind. And let's we connect with our beloved Lord Jesus Christ. And we love you, Lord Jesus. And we thank you for the blessings, for the light, for the love, for your divine examples and teachings that have been embracing each of us and here on this beautiful planet to learn, to grow, and to enlighten ourselves. And together, through these beautiful teachings of your Christ examples, let's we embrace our dear sister Kiki as she is bringing the message for all of us in incarnates or in discarnate. We are all together in this beautiful dimension and this beautiful vibration of our Heavenly Father's love, wisdom, and truth. And with these amazing blessings and healings, energy that's surrounding our minds and hearts, let's ask for guidance. Whatever we are, let our house be enlightened in this moment to be a point, a dot of light for our neighborhood, for our city, for our state, and for this beautiful nation. In your name, Lord Jesus, in the name of all these wonderful spiritual workers of the light, mentors and friends and benefactors, with God, to God, we are open our beautiful service today. And so it is. Thank you all.
So be it. Thank you so much, Tanya, and to all our friends joining today in this beautiful energy. My name is Adriana, and it is my pleasure to share with you the announcements, what we are up to, and most importantly, what Bezerra Spiritual Healing is about. Learning the Spiritism through the doctrines of Allan Kardec, and we are all about education. And in order to provide the best way for you to join us virtually from anywhere in the world, to study, to learn more about Spiritism and what we believe life after death, right? What is us as spirits being infinite here in our mission to bring the light, to keep the light here in our planet, wherever we go. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen very quickly here to show you the opportunities that we offer for everybody who would like to join us in our studies. So, for example, here you can see the days of the week. On Monday, we have an internal healing services for some of the members. There's a mediumship group. And on Tuesday from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Pacific time, there is a class, Forgiveness as the Way and the Way to Forgiveness. It just started on November 1st at Divine Light in partnership with Divine Light. So you are invited to come and join us at this time on this day. Even though you may have missed one class, that's okay. The most important is to be present and to be open to learn. On Wednesday, there are two opportunities. If you are in need of some fraternal counseling, please do take advantage that on Wednesday from 4 to 7 p.m. Pacific time, we do offer fraternal counseling. If you need, a friend or someone to talk about whatever it is that you're going through, please do take advantage of this opportunity. And then from 6:30 to 7:30, there is a psychology of gratitude. Again, another opportunity to get together, to stay connected and in union, learn more about gratitude and how we can manifest wonderful things in our lives. On Thursday, from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., we also have the Living Spring. Again, another opportunity for us to join us. And on Sunday, today, from 10 to 11:30, we have the speech and the healing passes. So this is the healing work that we do here virtually. And then in the evening at 5:30 to 6:30 p.m., Workers of the Life Eternal. It is a book study and it's also with Divine Light. And remember, from Monday through Saturday, every day, there is a daily prayer at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Again, wherever you are, if you can take that one moment, whether you're connected on Zoom or not, if you can being silent and participate with your energy, it's really welcome to join us in this beautiful daily prayer to help each other, to help ourselves, and help our planet and our world, right? Humanity at large. We do need prayers. So, in other words, there are a lot of opportunities for you to join us, to learn, to expand, to evolve through education, right? Education changed our world. It really broadened our horizon, and especially when it comes to specific subjects like spiritism, right? And then our day-to-day life, how can we live better every day, applying the principles that we learn via so many books and also the doctrine of Allan Kardec. Now, we also have a guest speaker every Sunday. And of course, today we're going to be learning about there will be false Christs and false prophets. And the guest speaker today is our dear sister, Kiki Perezin. She's our dear sister who's done so much for our center and continue working with us and for our center in a very disciplined and very beautiful, loving way. And for those who don't know Kiki, Kiki was raised in a Spiritist family that taught her the study of the gospel since she was a little girl. While working on her inner transformation, Kiki seeks opportunities to serve and to put into action lessons taught by Jesus and the good spirits. Her mantra is accept with gratitude, believe with conscience, work with love. Kiki is Brazilian from São Paulo. She is expecting a little baby girl, Livia. We can't wait to welcome Livia to this beautiful world soon. She's a member of the Bezerra Spiritual Healing Center and the secretary of BSH Board of Directors. Well, my friends, help me show the love, bring all the joy to welcome our sister Kiki, our guest speaker today, and may all the spirits really inspire you, Kiki, so you can teach us how to better serve and be always in light. Thank you, Kiki. Welcome.
Amen. What a responsibility, right? To bring the lessons that we learn. And this is exactly what we'll be discussing today, sister. Thank you for introducing it. This is the second time that I'm invited to speak about this chapter. There will be false Christs and false prophets, which is really interesting for me for many reasons. And I think that the biggest one for me is how important it is for us to understand not only who are the false Christs and the false prophets, so then we can reflect on how we ingest all the information coming from them, but most importantly, how do we treat them whenever we encounter those that are false Christs and false prophets, if we are not the ones being false prophets. So everything that we'll see today will come from the Gospel according to Spirited. This is one of the book. This is the first book written by Allan Kardec, and what he does is he uses passages from the Bible, and he adds not only his reflections but also the reflections from the spirits on high. So today we'll reflect on the trees known by its fruits, the missions of the prophets, the prodigies performed by the false prophets and why they do that. Do not believe in all spirits, and then we have a couple of the spirits' teachings that came to keep enlightening us on this topic: false prophets, characteristics of the true prophet, the false prophets in the spirit world, and a passage on the Jeremiah and the false prophets as well. If you have any questions, any comments, anything to chime in, please, by all means, stop me at any time. But this is how it all starts, and I will be reading a couple of parts of the chapter, but it all starts with Luke saying, "The tree that produces bad fruit is not good, and the tree that produces good fruit is not bad, for each tree is known by its own fruit. Figs cannot be picked from thorn bushes, nor can bunches of grapes be cut from briars. A good man brings forth good things from the good treasures of his heart, whereas the evil man takes evil things from the evil treasures of his heart, for the mouth speaks from what fills the heart." So this is how this whole chapter starts, and I think that this is already giving us a hint of what this whole chapter is about. And this is exactly what I want us to think about this on our perspective. How the actions speak louder than the words, regardless of whom is speaking, regardless of whom this is coming from. But of course, more importantly, from the prophets. So this is already telling us that we must pay attention that anyone can say beautiful things, but not everyone can create something, can act something that is not there. And sometimes we know that there is this disconnection between action and words, and each one of us must reflect how disconnected our actions are from our words. And when I say words, I say the spoken words and the unspoken words, so our thoughts as well. So how our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions are connected, and this can help us to see what type of tree we are nurturing inside of us. So let us talk about the mission of the prophets. So what it says is that it applies. So one of the things that we think about the mission of the prophets, who are the prophets, why they are coming, right? So the prophecies and predictions, they have become synonymous, because we would recognize a prophet if he or she would be able to foresee the future or to know something that is important. But it says that it applies to all who have been sent by God with the mission of instructing humankind and revealing hidden the things and mysteries of the spiritual life. Hence, a person can be a prophet without making predictions. So what is the big mission of a prophet? To enlighten, to bring to us enlightening messages that will help us to reveal more of the mysteries of the heart, more of the mysteries of the spirituality. But it is true that some of those prophets, they were able to use their intuition, to use part of their mediumship to understand what was ahead. So intuition can and is an important aspect of the prophets, and this helps us to see the importance of those missionaries, right? And thinking about who are those prophets and why they are here, why do we need them? It's really for us to start thinking about things that we were not thinking without these prophets and these missionaries letting us know. But here again, it is helping us to think that the main mission of the prophets is not to foresee the future, is not to tell us what is going to happen, or to give guidance on what people should or should not do, but to enlighten us with the moral lens of their spirituality, for us to understand then how we can unveil these mysteries of the spirituality. And one of the biggest reasons why this is how they tell us the mission of the prophets. It's not only about the extraordinary, because this is exactly the next topic that they bring to us. There are false prophets that also perform prodigies, which, by the way, by the theological description, prodigies are exceptional phenomena that occur outside the law of nature. Now, thinking about when all the prophets started to make their prophecies, from then until now, geology, science, physics, chemics, and spirituality have explained to us many of the things that we would, in the past, characterize as a phenomenon. So this is one important thing that we should all take into consideration. Not necessarily everything that we were considering in the past as extraordinary were necessarily extraordinary, because now they are explained either by the science of the matter or by the science of the spirit. And this is one big thing that we should always be careful about. And then there is an important thing that they tell us. If, according to the meaning that has been attributed to these two words, prodigy and exclusively, the spirit of evil has the power to perform such prodigies, to the point that the elect themselves are deceived. The result would be that, being able to do what God does, prodigies and miracles are not exclusive privilege of those sent by God. It makes sense, right? Because if they could do something that is miracle, then it wouldn't be exclusive from the prophets, from the missionaries. And then they continue. Moreover, they would not prove anything, since nothing would distinguish the miracle performed by saints from the miracles performed by the devil. It is therefore necessary to look for a more rational meaning of these two words, prodigy and exclusively. So again, if we are saying that the mission of of prophets is really to bring enlightenment, and happens that they also have the ability to create some phenomena, these are a combination of things. But in the past slide, we just read that it's not necessarily you have to do something that is extraordinary for you to be a prophet. A prophet is someone that brings enlightenment. So we should not be mesmerized by those who can create things that by our eyes might seem like extraordinary phenomena. They bring to us, again, true prophets are recognized by most serious, exclusive moral characteristics. So it is just reinforcing to us that we do not have to expect anything that is extraordinary from someone to say this person is a prophet or this person is enlightening us, because he or she might be able to do that without necessarily having to do something that is extraordinary. And that doesn't mean that this person does not have such an important mission. So friends, we may agree that we do have plenty of examples of those who came to us. Some of them would be recognized as prophets and some of them not. But let us reflect on the lessons that each one of them bring to us. Can we say that they are not prophets with important missions of enlightening our heart? Martin Luther King said, "It makes empathy, patience, and compassion to overcome anger, hatred, and resentment." How strong is this? How strong is this? And how many people were able to be influenced by this, not only because he said, but because he acted like this, always. Mahatma Gandhi, "You must be the change you want to see in the world." And we know that. Sometimes we think that it's out of our hands to change something, but we know how important it is that our individual improvement will reflect in a collective good. And I love that it's so much connected with what Mother Teresa said. If you want to change the world, go home and love your family. It is powerful. She didn't have to raise any big stone to show us how important it is. And then we have Nelson Mandela. Remember that hope is a powerful weapon, even when all else is lost. How many of us are willing to fight for so many things, and sometimes we get violent? We get violent because we are passionate about whatever situation, even for charity. But if we truly want to change the world, it's not by violence. It's not by being aggressive. Pope Francis said, "It is not enough to say we are Christians. We must live the faith, not only with our words, but with our actions." So how come we say that we are Christians? Whenever we get angry in a fight, we start just pointing fingers on each other. We start spotting light the defects of our brothers and sisters instead of helping him or her to change. Chico Xavier said something very interesting. Though nobody can go back and make a new beginning, anyone can start over and make a new ending. So it's never, ever too late for us to do something about it now. Now. Even if we look back, and most of us have spent a long years of our life already, if we look back and reflect on things that we did in the past, some of them might not have been our best decisions, but we might be able to change moving forward. And this is what being a false prophet, being a false Christ is about. Because sometimes we hear people that speak something that is so beautiful, but they cannot act like that. And these are the ones that we are just trusting. This is blind faith. And even here, they bring to us, do not believe in all spirits. And when we say spirits here, they are not saying only the incarnate or discarnate spirits. Do not believe in everyone. We already saw that the main goal of a missionary is not to create performances. So we already know that for you to have an important mission, you do not have to create those phenomena. So this is already difficult for us to see who can and who cannot be a prophet. The second thing is, be assured that the words of this prophet aligns with the actions. And this is exactly what they are also bringing to us. I don't have the name of the spirit, but they say, "Dearly beloved, do not believe all spirits, but tests whether the spirits are from God, for many false prophets have appeared in the world." So it's not news, right? Because those, and this is what this is what I want us to reflect about as well. When we think about false prophets, it's easy for us to point finger on them and say they are evil, they want to create harm, and yeah, that's true. But one of the invitations that I would like to do for ourselves is, how should we look at them? If we look at them with despise, how will we be different from them? Because at the end of the day, those are ignorant spirits, and they are truly believing that they are doing right. Whatever reason is making them do whatever they are doing, they believe that they are doing right. Whenever we have a child doing something that is wrong, what do? I know sometimes, and I'm still not a mother, as Adriana was saying. Sometimes I'm expecting my first child, but sometimes we feel like just turning our back and say, I don't want to see what's going on, or we fight. But what is our duty? To educate. And this is exactly what I would like to invite us to think whenever we see something like that, for us not to hate the person. Because if we do, we will just be nourishing the reason why he or she started this at the first place. Because this person is definitely lacking love. So we must be careful. So what they say here is, those who would be tempted to exploit such phenomena, the phenomena that we were saying a slide before, for their own profit and pass themselves as a Messiah of God, cannot abuse people's credulity for long and will soon be masked, because again, we are talking about the words and the actions. And one thing that they tell us here is, in order to judge both spirits and individuals, we must first know how to judge ourselves. Friends, this is the very first step. To be aware of who we are. To be aware of who we want to be. And then understand all of our gaps. Those are the gaps that will help us to fill in the blanks with the lessons coming from Jesus. But yet, it's difficult, right? Because sometimes we see that even those wolves in the skin of a sheep, they can also do good once in a while, but they are not consistent, right? So in the Miriam's book, on chapter 24, they bring to us a couple of hints on how can we understand if the spirit that we are talking to is really someone that is truthful or not. So first is language and actions, and most importantly, the sentiment that emanates. And that's why it is important that we understand ourselves before we are able to judge the spirit. Because imagine yourself, go to a mediumistic meeting, and you are coming from a very hard day in your work, in your life, whatever happened, and you are troubled. But in the surface, in the shallow, you are all right. But you know that deep inside, you are going through a lot. And then while you are praying, you feel that energy, and you are absolutely sure that you heard from someone that is good. How can we judge if we ourselves are not pure enough to understand what's going on in the other? If whatever the other sentiment is emanating is crystal clear, it's not. It's not. And this is what we should be extremely careful about. Because depending on what type of message we are receiving, even if we are thinking that's coming from someone that is really good, might not be. And a good hint is not only the language but actions, but also the benevolence and kindness. Friends, benevolence and kindness. I think this is So important. And they say here, it's essential. How many times, and I don't know about you, but how many times have you heard from someone that we trust, a medium that we trust? We hear things that are not really benevolent or doesn't sound like kindness. So many times. So we must be careful, extremely careful. The other big thing is about intelligence. All the spirits that are prophets that come with huge knowledge, with this mission of enlightening someone, they are intelligent. They talk simply with no prolixity, which is the art of saying much with few words. Jesus is amazing doing that, right? And every time that I read books from Emmanuel or Joanna de Angelis, they just say so much in so little. But this is what they do. The other part should be ours on reflecting whenever they are saying, right? Because they talk simply, but doesn't mean it's not deep. So this is another hint. Then we have other things in the list, and I'm not going to go over everything, but I invite everyone to take a look on this chapter. But they say submit to rigorous examinations, understand the logic, understand if there is common sense. A prophet or a good spirit will never give order to us. They don't impose themselves. They give us suggestions on how we can make improvements in our moral. Because remember, we all have free will. And you know one thing that I like, I always like to reflect when I see things like that. I remember about Judas. Judas was with Jesus Christ. When he started having different thoughts, right? He started thinking that Jesus was not going to the right direction because he needed how he will change the world if he doesn't have money, or how Jesus will impact the world if he doesn't, if he keeps, if we all, if the, oh my gosh, the words, if we still had the priests and the Rome's ruling Jerusalem. So he wanted to go to Jerusalem and fight everyone out because they were not doing good for the population, right? He wanted to fight. And Jesus was always telling him, be careful with your thoughts. Be careful with what you are aiming. This is not exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that this is not power. I'm not saying that fight is the right way of doing this. If we want to change, we start with ourselves. We make by example. We don't have to be in the power. We don't have to have a temple for us to be able to do good for our brothers and sisters. Jesus himself told us, the kingdom of God is inside of you. So all of us know how to examine the words that are coming from the false Christs. We must use all of them. So moving forward, we start now understanding the Spirit's teachings. And then they keep saying exactly the same thing. They say, distrust, let me see here my notes. Distrust sugary words. Distrust the scribes and the Pharisees who prowl in the public squares, dresses in long robes. Distrust those who claim to have the one and only monopoly of the truth. What is it saying to us? Be careful who we are listening to, because people are not perfect. All of us are carrying our vices. And even the prophets, they are not free from that. According to the Spirit's book, Jesus is the only person that incarnated with the purity, with the necessary purity to give us all those examples. It doesn't mean that if we are not pure, we cannot enlighten and help others to understand, which is exactly what we are learning here. So it is almost a duty for all of us that are studying. But most importantly is charity, love, indulgence, goodness that reconciles all souls in support of their words. They add actions. So as St. Francis of Assisi tells us, preach the gospel all the time. Use words when necessary. So this is speaking to us, friends. It's not necessarily speaking to those who say that they are great, those are false prophets, because at some point they will fall, and this is exactly what they tell us. All individuals bear on their brow, but more especially on their actions, the stamp of their greatness or decadence. So whoever is doing something that is not necessarily according to charity, love, indulgence, and goodness, reconciliation of the souls, at some point this person is going to show off, and we know that. So we must be careful. And when you think about which are the characteristics of these false prophets, Erastus, which is another spirit, tells us something that is really important. Distrust false prophets, especially during a time of renewal. Does anyone know about any renewal times that we are going through right now? Have anyone ever heard about the change that we are going through, the word of expiation to a word of regeneration? So we must be double careful during this time, because many impostors will say they are messengers from God. They provide themselves with vain satisfaction while on earth, but terrible justice awaits them. You can be sure of that. So again, Erastus tells us, true prophets are revealed by their actions. They are discovered by others, whereas false prophets present themselves as messengers from God. The former are humble and modest. The latter are proud and full of themselves. So friends, why is that? Why is that? Because during any time of renewal, we know that there is still that uncertainty. What's going on? Is this correct? Are we going to the right direction? Is this the right person leading us? Shouldn't we be doing something else? And then while we are in that soup of thoughts, this is when the false prophets find opportunity to deceive our mind to the true focus of love, charity, benevolence, reconciliation of the souls. And then all of a sudden, what happens is that we become blind because we truly believe so much in whoever is this person that is talking to us that we wouldn't believe that he or she would do something wrong. But again, we were just seeing that there are false prophets also in the spirit world. And if we are troubled in our heart, and we are all working on our troubles. Chico Xavier said that the pain is inevitable, the suffering is optional. So it's not because we are happy that we see life with a happy eyes. It doesn't mean that we are not working on our own troubles. And depending on how strong that is on us, we might be able to believe in something that is not necessarily truth. And this is one thing that we should be very, very careful. You know that recently we came across politic changes in Brazil. And it was exactly, not exactly, but it was a similar scenario that we had in the US. Very polarized situation. And then people were just hating each other. One saying that it was for the good of the society. The other saying that it was bringing the good of God. But many people were translating that into hate to each other. And then the message was not a message of enlightenment, of brotherhood, fraternityhood, and understanding the principles of each politics. So people were pointing fingers and saying, this person is devil, this person is devil. How can we say that from someone that is our brother or sister, believing that he or she is doing something good, even if it's for his or her own good? That's the way that I would like to invite us to look at those people. Because if we keep nurturing them with hate, this is not going to change. This is not going to change. So if we look at the prophets that came before us, like Mother Teresa, Mandela, Martin Luther King, they are all inviting us to fight with love. It's not inviting us to be quiet and accept everything. As I say, accept with gratitude, believe with conscience, and work with love. Love, friends. If we do not have love for each other, how will we change the world? We cannot say that it is on their hands, it is on ours. If we want to do something, it must start on us. And then we have this other piece here, the false prophets in the spirit world, also from Erastus. He says, false prophets are not found only among incarnates. They are also, and in much large numbers, found among proud spirits, who under the false appearance of love and charity sow disunion and retard the work of humankind's emancipation, infiltrating it with their absurd theories, which they make their mediums believe. And to better fascinate them, those they want to exploit in order to give more weight to their theories, they I will try to read this word. Unscrupulously, I hope you understood me. Unscrupulously. Without scrupulous. I'm sorry. They adorn themselves with names that humans do not pronounce except with respect. So again, what is he bringing to us? Fascination. Because we blindly believe in some of those respectful names and they are used against us. So fascination, and I got this from the Medium's book, fascination refers to a delusion created directly by a spirit in the thought of a medium. Remember, when we were talking about we as mediums have troubled heart or troubled thoughts, and then we hear from someone and we believe that we are hearing correctly, this spirit is fascinating us on that idea, which in a certain manner paralyzes his or her capacity to judge the quality of the communications. Fascinated mediums do not believe themselves to be deceived. Nobody thinks that we are doing something wrong whenever we receive a message that is just putting us apart from each other. We cannot believe in that, right? Because we are so trustful that we are doing right. But brothers and sisters, we are all going through so much that we must be careful. So whenever we receive a message from whoever that is getting us apart, let us think twice. And let us be careful for us not to hate, for us not to judge in a bad way that person, because he or she is also going through a problem of fascination. If that fascination is happening, is because he or she is in need of support, is in need of love. So how can we embrace, without, of course, I'm not saying that we should cherish the wrongdoing, but instead of hating and judging and spotlighting someone's problems, how can we support him or she get out of this? So there is a final one about where is it? About this topic from Jeremiah. I will quickly read this. What is this passage from Jeremiah? This is what the Lord of hosts says. Do not listen to the words of the prophets who prophesy and deceive you. They publicize the visions of their hearts and not what they have learned from the mouth of the Lord. They say to those who blaspheme me, the Lord says to you, you shall have peace. And to all those who walk in the corruption of their hearts, no evil will touch you. But who amongst them has heeded the counsel of God? Who has seen him and listened to what he has said? Who had listened to him and what he has said? I have not sent such prophets, they run by themselves. I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesy from their own head. I have heard these prophets who prophesy lies in my name, saying, I dreamed. How long will this fantasy be in the hearts of the prophets who prophesy lies and whose prophecies are only the deceptions of their own hearts? Therefore, if these people or a prophet or a priest asks you and says, what is the burden of the Lord? Say, you yourself are the burden, and I shall cast you from me, says the Lord. This is Jeremiah, chapter 23. So, friend, this is helping us to remember that there are many people that will come to us talking about the importance of Jesus. And then he continues to us. The deluded are obviously mediums who do not take enough precautions. All of us. This is unquestionably one of the biggest obstacles upon which many mediums stumble, especially if they were new to Spiritism. And by the way, friends, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of experience in this lifetime doesn't mean that we know Spiritism. We all know that. It is a trial for them, and they can triumph over it only by using great prudence. Therefore, before anything else, learn to distinguish between good and evil spirits so that you yourselves do not become false prophets. And for me, friends, I think this is the most important part of this whole chapter. Because we are so careful judging each other, saying he or she is a good or a bad prophet. But how come we do not understand our own actions? One of the reflections that I was having while doing this study is that we don't want Jesus' figure to matter more than his words. Because this is exactly what caused him to be crucified in first place. All Jerusalem, everybody was so afraid of who that figure would become. They would make him king. Jesus is coming and there is this huge crowd surround him. We must kill him. So then he do not keep giving these prophecies. But Jesus was not asking for him to be praised, but his actions to be heard. So if we pray to Jesus, but we do not do what he told us, if we do not bring that to action, how different we are from more than 2,000 years ago. We are keeping the same mistake. We are putting Christ in the cross if we do not act on his words, if we do not act on his actions. And I'm pretty sure we don't want to repeat those mistakes because we don't want to be those false prophets. How do we become more and more aware whenever Jesus tells us, be kind, be humble, think twice before making people apart, help each other, be charitable? This is the invitation, brothers and sisters. Whenever we are thinking about false prophets and false Christs, this is the invitation. Even if we meet a false Christ or a false prophet, who is the one to throw the first stone? Jesus taught that to us. Cast the first stone, the one that is clean of sins. So who are we to judge, to point finger? We must be the ones making the change, again, starting with us. So this is what I wanted to share with you today, this reflection. And I do remember something that Chico Xavier told us. Because if you're Brazilian, or if you follow whatever happens in Spiritism in Brazil, you know how important Chico Xavier is to all of us, and I guess the whole world. And even he himself did something that I found very interesting. He said, if I had any power of influence in anyone, if anyone could ever think about hearing some advice from me, the only thing that I would say is to reinforce Jesus's words. Love one another as I have loved you. So not even him is telling us, follow me, follow what I say, because he can also make mistakes as well, as any one of us. But follow Jesus. And when we say follow Jesus, is really reflect in the silence of our heart. Are we being able to execute the actions that Jesus taught us? Are we being able to learn how to love? And I know it's hard, but this is why we are here for, to help each other, to learn and to grow. So I hope this resonates to you, and we can discuss on how we can help each other to love one another, so then we cannot be false prophets. That's it, friends. Thank you. If anyone has any questions or comments, please feel free to add. You, my love.
I really enjoyed your talk, Kiki, very much. And we've all read the chapter, and yet the way you presented it is just I can't think of the word, but making sure that we're really understanding the importance of watching ourselves. And that is the part that I enjoyed the most. And that is that you, throughout the talk, so beautifully held up the mirror. So we can look and must, and I invite it over and over again to not point the finger, but to look in the mirror all day long, and not in a narcissistic, egoic way, but in an examining way. Yes, gentle and kind, even towards ourselves, and also self-forgiving, and yet without sugarcoating ourselves. And that is just precious. So thank you so much, Kiki. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Kiki. That was really beautiful, right from the heart to the heart. Thank you. It really had a lot of meaning for me this morning because I was doing a little bit of studying for a different presentation. And so I was kind of, wanting to see what a Google search had to say about this one topic, because I wasn't finding a lot of information in Spiritism. And I read it. And, not to say that these people are false prophets, but to just hone in on that idea is we all only know what we know, and so it is really up to us to use our reasoning and our discernment. So, I'm not going to point the fingers and say they're wrong or they don't know, but, perhaps this is what they're understanding. And, it was actually good for me because it was an opportunity to say, no, because I know there's no sin. So this idea that it was because of sin is, and yeah, so just that idea of responsibility and to use discernment and reasoning. And Jesus would not say, go to the church, go to, he wouldn't say that. So it's we need to be careful of what we, Google isn't always right. And we all know that, but it's not to say it even has to be a false prophet. But I think it just comes down to that of what we know so far and knowing that I don't know everything. But, even if I don't agree with someone, I don't have to criticize them. It's like an opportunity to get out of that place of, in order for me to win, you must lose. In order for you to win, I have to lose, to get out of that competition, but to just use our reasoning and come to the truth. And I guess it's that acceptance that we all only know what we know and can share at that level. And so it's not to say somebody is evil or malevolent, but perhaps their knowledge is limited. And I love what you pointed out is not to put that person down, but how do we help them get out of it? How do we help them get out of it? And this is the real challenge in my perspective. So thank you so much. I appreciated the presentation.
Thank you, sister. And that this reflection that you made is exactly the one that I made, because very often we come across many statements that come from people that we believe, we trust, but not necessarily that make sense to our judgment or to that list of things that we were saying. It's benevolent, it's kind, it has a good language, blah, blah, blah. But most importantly is we don't have to publicize that. We don't have to keep spreading, that person, he said something and he is wrong, blah, blah. We do not have to do that. But if we truly want to help, we can invite that person to think about a different perspective. Hey, person, whatever, I'd like to share with you my line of thought, which is blah, 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 blah. And then we are not only being kind with the person, but we are also inviting him or her to think in a perspective that, as you said, people know what they know. Sometimes he or she didn't think about that. And we will be charitable if we do something like that with love and kindness, respect and everything. So that's exactly the reflection that I had, sister.
It's very interesting what happened here. We have a lot to think, to evaluate, because remember, there are false prophets and false Christ, no? And do not believe in all the spirits and the corruption. And the good tree will be produce good fruits, and the bad tree will be produce bad fruits. So it's a lot to reflect over here, because who are the false prophets? Do not believe in all the spirits. Who are the spirits? We are the spirits. He is not only talk about the discarnate spirits, but they are talking about us. That is a very important topic to concentrate with, because sometimes, like you brought in the topic, brilliantly talk for us to reflect, Because among us, you brought the politician, and the politicians all over the world, not just here or Brazil, it's all over the world. And our beloved brother Brian said today, the moral. I believe we need to start to observing our insight, our moral, that what the Spiritism of Christianity preach, teaching us to work in a moral transformation. So we start with ourselves, as we all know, and we have been hardly working on our moral transformation. In my conversation early this day with our beloved sister Regina, we were talking just about that, family situations, mayors, politicians, or whatever that. And we said at the end, who is responsible for all of this is us. What is the lessons is for us, and who can change it is I can change my word, and I can reflect, and like all the messages is wonderful, because it said, are you being seeking someone that is not truth, or saying the truth, or morally manifest the truth. So it is us, we are responsible to evaluate all of this. And I do not believe in things like you said, Teresa, but when Jesus said, go and sin no more, and is the way the man translated that, I think when he said, you have the power to go and change your mistakes and do right. So that, for me, that is, and other things, how many times we corrupt our own selves. And like Teresa was going to Google, and I love the teachings, the way you expose that. And I said, what do you call a corrupt person? Google said, no. Some common synonyms of corrupt are degenerate, iniquitous, nefarious, vicious, and villainous. While all these words mean highly reprehensible or offensive in character, nature, or conduct, corrupt stresses a loss of moral integrity or prohibit causing betrayal or principle of sworn obligation. Sorry for my misspelling. And that is why we are here to, again, now the teachings and the wonderful topic to us. And as a human being, son or daughter of God, mediums, because we are all medium according to Kardec in the mediumship book. And it is to know ourselves, to know who we are. Are we being corrupted? Are we allowing others to corrupt us? So how do I put myself in this world today? Am I being, like you said again, sometimes who are we to point fingers? But we can point fingers to ourselves, and we can change ourselves to a better live in this world. Like I said to Regina today, from my frustration the last week, all the tests and lessons I have last week, from family, everything, what I learned the most, let me focus on myself and my progress and my moral transformation. Thanks so much for your wonderful teaching again, sister. Thank you.
And thank you, Tanya. I also wanted to add, for some of us who may be newer to Spiritism, that evil and sins are often seen as a religious dogmatic expression, but what's behind it? The spirits help us in the Spirit's book. It's ignorance. And what's behind ignorance is our defect of selfishness and pride, which we all have here on planet Earth, and that is what we're focused on. So thank you.
Yeah, to bring this construct into our practical perspective, we would consider nowadays, and we see this on a daily basis, the false Christs are those that are establishing, because they already have reached a level of prominence and leadership in our culture, in our society. So they are instilling new ideologies that propose hate, this is wrong, or this is the way it's supposed to be, looking for their own benefits, like creating wars, creating hate between people and all that. So these are the false Christ. They create this ideology, and the false prophets are those that propagate that. Let's put this way, on the internet, those that use the internet to send out messages promoting an ideology, that's part of being false prophets. So this is permeating our society. So we don't need to look at this chapter considering that it's something out in the air, mystical. No, we are living this right now. So ideologies that, because we are, every single one of us, we are political beings. So it's not just the politics, but also like the medical field, like Sunshine pointed out, or any other profession, any other careers. So it is interesting. For example, the idea that there's no salvation outside the church. That is an ideology that a lot of people promotes that, instill that. They are the false prophets saying that, yes, you got to join my church so you can be saved. So just to make it in a practical way so we can see it. But thank you, Kiki, very good.
You know, another thing I was looking at too, while everybody was talking, everybody made amazing points, and it's all very good. But we also have to understand, even in our own family, our family and friends that we love and they love us, and you know, we have their ear. So wherever point we are coming from, we need to be careful, because we can poison them too. You know, and this is where our morals and our understanding of spiritism comes in, to be careful what we say always, because it can affect your family and your friends, especially like gossip. Oh, she's this, or she's that, or he did this and he did that, and I don't like him. Well, I don't like him either. You know, it's that crazy. So we have to always be careful. Morals is way to go. Be moral about everything. Keeping Jesus in our hearts and our minds, right?
Exactly, Gina. You know, there was this talk by Luis Lima a little while ago on truth and what is truth. And he essentially pointed out that all our beliefs and what we're propagating is just relative truth. Because 500 years ago in an incarnation, our truth was very different than today. And tomorrow it may be different from yesterday or today, right? So then he said, so what is truth? And then the answer, basically, in the bottom line, that's a really good lecture, is that it's the moral compass that Jesus brought to earth. So the closer we are, and Gina, you just said it, the closer we are to Jesus, what he did, what he didn't do, what he said, what he didn't say, what he modeled, right? He is our guide and model. The closer we are to the truth. And that's it.
You just took from my mind, Sunshine, because I was saying, is your truth or my truth?
Exactly.
Why we fight about that? Let's keep with the Christ.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
I also know for myself that the more urgency I have to point my finger into somebody else, the more effort I need to make to restrain myself. Because that kind of urgency is not coming from the good source. And usually I find if I keep my mouth long enough, I can find that there is some relationship that I'm identifying with the person. Like in some ways, you know, it's easier to see that people are wrong in domain and miss it, that we're wrong in the same domain. And I also learned that from my experience, the more reaction I have to other person behavior, I have to reflect to myself, because there's something going on why I am so worked up and how much I'm interested to explain to them how wrong they are. So like those kind of red flags for myself, it became very helpful to actually steer what I call it, like work on ourselves to myself, because it's so inviting to work on somebody else's behavior and see their faults and really from the goodness of my heart to tell them how wrong they are. But the motivation has to be questioned for me. So I say it with the humor because I used to really judge myself for that. Now I just laugh, really. So if I can take a breath and not to be in a hurry to speak my accusation, whatever they are, things change inside. Thank you.
And Olya, you just touched in a point that is super interesting. You know that I used to work with a client that I would always, just like you, react, and I would try to jump in and say how wrong he and she were. And one thing that I read from Chico Xavier, I think that Emmanuel taught him this, and then he taught the world, is to keep your mouth busy with water, just like this. Like whenever the person is saying someone that you are ready to jump and say something, keep your mouth busy, so then you allow yourself to, as you said, to reflect. Instead of react, we can reflect, and then we can decide how we want to respond. So then we do not just we just don't use our vices to answer. I think you're absolutely right.
I
Thank you.
also back to Sunshine when you said about, like we think we're sinning and sin is terrible. I don't remember where the source of that information about. Actually, at some point, there was a mistranslation or misunderstanding of the sin, because sin basically means missing the mark.
Mm,
And
that's
I think it's somewhere from the Eastern philosophy that came, that sin means missing the mark. Okay, I missed the mark. I don't have to persecute myself from that. I just do different
yeah,
and move forward from that.
beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, but like everyone is saying, it starts with us.
Are you showing the little car to us, Charles? Is that a message on the car, the little cars?
Yeah, we see what you play with, Charles.
Yeah, I'm playing with Ian. You guys are boring.
You definitely took his attention. Oh yeah,
Correct? Yeah, thank
he's
you.
a grandpa, vovô
Grandpa,
torto
you're right.
também.
Loves it.
Yeah, that's my job. I'm here to spoil the little kids. Yeah.
Okay.
Ciao, ciao, sweetheart.
Ciao.
We love you.
I like his hairstyle.
All right, friends. So, are we ready to go to the second part?
I just wanted to do reminding that this coming Thursday is 6:30 p.m. Regina, could you give the news, please?
Yeah, this Thursday, we're going to start the gospel. We're going to start with the introduction, if any of you are interested in going through that with us. We are going to study the gospel from the beginning to the end. We're going to start once a month until we can work our way up to once a week. And also, it's all to prepare us for reopening a center here in Sacramento.
So that it will be a physical presence, no? Everybody, people is coming to Sonia's house, and who is in Sacramento or Sacramento area, and you would love to come to join the reopening, the starting of the reopening of the Bezerra Spiritual Healing Center in Sacramento. Please come to join our dear sister and brothers who are in Sacramento and doing this wonderful, giving this wonderful opportunity to be studying and sharing the information, and then having passes, and wonderful, wonderful. So all of you who are missing the physical presence of a spiritual center meeting, please come to join Sacramento, starting next Thursday, this coming Thursday.
coming
Thanks so much.
Thursday.
Yeah.
So is there a Zoom with it too, Gina, or no?
You know, mostly for those who are far away, that, you know, like some of them live here in Oakland, or some people have babies, they can't come
Yeah.
physically. But, you know, I think for the first few, it probably, if you want, that's fine. But for the first two, it's going to kind of be slow, and because we're going to get to know each other and talk and
Mhm.
stuff. But anybody's welcome to come, because it's all about learning about Jesus, not me.
So is there a Zoom or not?
Yeah, well.
Oh, there is. Okay, thank you.
So let's we go for 1 minute break, water, and don't forget to put in the name of the people. We are starting a new group this coming Monday, tomorrow. We are starting the new healing group every month. We, excuse me. Every month we start with a 4 Mondays and a whole month at a spiritual, mental, emotional treatment for those who are spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical ill. So if you know someone in your family, or you want to be treated for this whole month, please put in your name or the name of your loved one in the chat. So we are taking notes, and we will start this a new group healing tomorrow. Thanks so much. And please share the word that the Bezerra Spiritual Healing Center, we do this beautiful treatment for those who are, whatever they are in the world. We are here to help, giving us this opportunity to grow, to learn, and to support you in that what you are in the most in need.